2 or 3 questions here on the pineal gland. This one is in 2 parts. Do you have a healing for the calcified pineal gland? And do you recommend taking supplements such as skate liver oil to decalcify the pineal gland? And do you advise sun gazing? And does this heal the pineal gland? And then here's another one. Does the Mother of Creation agree that decalcification of the pineal gland or something similar would be hugely beneficial for us to embody and express our greatest human potential? And if so, with the potent power of our collective, can we please co-create a healing which will gracefully facilitate that process? So thank you both for these questions. First of all, just a tiny bit of background. I'm not a scientist, so I don't have all the super duper details on the pineal gland calcification, but I do know that at this point, the calcification in the pineal gland as measured by modern scientists is comprised mostly of fluoride and chlorine. Fluoride and chlorine. Yeah, fluoride and chlorine. So, of course, avoiding those substances would be good. So from the first question, which is, practical recommendations, avoiding fluoride and chlorine is good. And be careful, because fluoride and chlorine are not just in water. Of course, purifying water is good. Not using fluorinated toothpaste, even though your dentist will probably tell you it's the best thing ever. But some foods also. Baking soda evidently has some in there, and I think there are others. So eating unprocessed foods, natural, organic, whole foods is always best. And that's going to avoid the building up of those toxins in the body in the first place. Another thing is that those particular elements are in the same family as another element, iodine. And iodine is very, very good for the body, right? There's a 4th one too. It starts with a B. Bromine, thank you. So there are 4. There's fluoride, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. And they tend to occupy the same spaces in the body. But iodine has a much more beneficial effect in the body. So increasing iodine consumption is actually beneficial to kind of move out. It kind of comes in and takes the place for the fluoride and the chlorine. Also, the pineal gland is a little bit like an eyeball. But it's deep inside the brain. It's a little pocket or ball that's got rod and cone cells around it, and it's got water inside it. And it holds different minerals. And it's the job of the pineal gland to be a repository for some healthy minerals in the body. So it's natural for it to have minerals, which may be one reason why people's pineal glands do tend to attract these different fluoride and chlorine. The other thing is that the pineal gland is outside the blood-brain barrier. And so it's not protected like the inner components of the brain. So because of that, we do need to protect through diet. Yes, I feel that all sorts of herbs, and I looked online, there are plenty of people online who offer great suggestions for purifying and decalcifying the pineal gland. Yes, definitely sun gazing helps, because sun gazing, the rays of the sun run the spectrum of light, and all these spectrums of light are extremely healing for the physiology. So yes, I definitely recommend sun gazing, always being very careful and discerning, very discriminating. We want to only look at the sun when it's within 15 degrees of the horizon, preferably the morning sun, which is cooler and softer and cleaner and fresher and brings a lot more energy to the body. And then only for a few seconds, until some people look daily at the rising sun, and then they're able to build up resistance to the intense qualities of it, so they can look a little bit more. But if you're not doing it every day, I suggest you take it easy and just go for about 10 seconds to be on the safe side. Okay, so lots of people have great material out there on the internet. Some other herbs that I looked at, turmeric is considered great. Haritaki is considered great. A lot of people recommend taking magnesium orally or putting it on the skin. Onions were even suggested in one video. But what we're doing in energy healing is, using consciousness to heal. So we can do something that's an augmentation to any sort of dense material structures that we can take into our body orally or on the skin. So let's just do that. We're going to put attention on the pineal gland for a minute, that little eye that's in the middle of the brain area, deep inside the brain. And the first thing I'm feeling, so starting at the finest level of feeling, is a sense of complete adoration for that part of the physiology. So very rarely do we isolate out a particular organ or part of the body and then send gratitude, loving gratitude. The pineal gland, for all of us, and I'm looking out into our collective and I'm seeing everybody's pineal glands. We're looking, we have different degrees of, Wikipedia describes it as brain sand. They actually use that word, brain sand, in Wikipedia to describe that, those hard calcifications that can get into the pineal gland. Everyone with different varying degrees, but everyone, thank you, but everyone also has a certain amount of their pineal gland that's in lovely, beautiful, fresh, clean, wholesome condition. So we want to use the waters that are in that part of the pineal gland and infuse those waters with the light of being and with the softest, sweetest, motherly impulse, because it's mother who nourishes and protects and purifies. We want those three, right? We want nourishment, protection, and purification for the pineal gland. So that's that pure, luscious, sumptuous energy that sits in the gap between being asleep and being awake in its own nature, but not manifest yet, not yet manifest. And as that energy, which is a very potent, very pure energy of consciousness or divinity, starts to move up into the causal level of the physiology, where we start to implement the healing process, it takes on forms of mother and forms very loving, very tender, very compassionate, very discerning. What does the mother do? The mother's more aware of the child than anybody else. You know, the child goes to the preschool and the teachers, they have awareness of all the children of the preschool, but the mother knows that child's details, right? So it's that level of discernment going in there. And this ties in beautifully to the healing we did yesterday, where the discernment was going back and forth between the prefrontal cortex and the occipital cortex, and it was hitting a point of silence right in the middle. So that beautiful connection to silence, and that, I would say, is probably one of the most glorious features of the pineal gland, is that it is able to translate the pure light of divine being into a form that we can comprehend and understand intellectually, or at least experientially, by the production of dimethyltryptamine, which is one of the materials that the pineal gland produces that gives rise to pictures or visions or sensations or feelings or sounds or insights, the inner dialogue, the inner story that's going on. And it takes experiences of pure, unmanifest, qualityless divine being, and it translates into forms that make sense to us. Ah, the ocean. Ah, the ocean. Or, oh, space. The waters of the earth, the space, the elements. The elements, a lot of times, beautiful. So that energy, that light, that quality of, so awareness going into the pineal gland. And if you did your little practice last night of scanning the body and getting good at focusing in on a particular spot, you can find the pineal gland, and then awareness coming into the pineal gland with that simple intention to fold back into the source of creation. So pineal gland, source of creation. Pineal gland, source of creation. In whatever speed and whatever rate you like, what it's doing is it's bringing that beautiful, sumptuous, luscious, precious quality that purifies, nourishes, and purifies, nourishes, and activates or enlivens the pineal gland. Integrate. It integrates. Right there, integration occurring in the pineal gland for everyone watching this webinar. Everybody watching it as a webinar, everyone watching it as an excerpt. Is also the pineal gland feeling better, is then able to talk to the heart and is able to give the heart some directions on how to produce that impulse in an even more refined, more precise manner that the pineal gland likes better. So now there's a little communication going back and forth between the heart and the pineal gland. And the heart's wisdom awakening to be able to work in a way which is very, I would say, a lot like hot anger, like cold anger. It's using energies which are particularly for the decalcification process, right? Because something has to be destroyed in order for the calcification to leave the pineal gland. So there's this element of using the anger as a means of destruction to go in and dissolve that fluoride and chlorine out of the pineal gland. Just watching it happen, feeling it happening inside my own body. And I'm feeling, if anybody's feeling a little bit of an increase of mucus, that is an indication that this is happening, because that's how these tissues of the body let go of toxins and impurities. They come out as mucus. So if you're feeling that, that's good. You're doing it right. And if you're not, it's okay too. You're still doing it. Everybody's having that. Thank you for the amazing, amazing questions. Beautiful questions.